Okay, I've been asked over and over again, how do I make my freshly milled grain yeast bread? So this is my little how-to video. The most frequently asked questions have to do with the grains. So they come in these big buckets. I order the hard red wheat berries and the hard white wheat berries. They do not come with the gamma lid, so I do suggest, we already had gamma lids, but you can also buy them. It comes with a lid that you pry off, but you want to be able to get your lid on and off easily, obviously, and you want a good tight seal because you don't want to get any moisture in your grains or any bugs. So to make Sue Becker's yeast bread, I'm finding that 1.5 cups of the hard red and 1.5 cups of the hard white for a total of 3 cups unmilled grains is giving me the perfect yield for my flour. So, and that's 3 cups. The other question I get a lot is about my grain mill. So when I first started making the bread, we had a manual grain mill that we were using, which is a lot of work. It works, but it's a lot of work. And also it's hard to get a fine flour, which is what you want for your bread. So it was pretty crumbly. Then I bought an attachment for my KitchenAid mixer, and I don't recommend getting attachments for your mixers or for your Vitamix because it blew out the motor after, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. It completely blew out the motor on my my mixer, and I had to get a new one. So I highly recommend getting a good grain mill. I went with Nutri-Mill. The Wonder Mill is also really good, I'm told. You just want to make sure you go with a reputable company and make sure that your grain mill is not plastic or ceramic. You want either some sort of stone or stainless steel. It's very easy to use. You just lift up your lid and you pour in your grains. And I've got it on the finest setting, and I'm just going to turn it on. I don't know, maybe a minute or two, we'll have our flour. Okay, so that took a couple minutes. So this just pulls right out. When it's done, the lid twists off. I sometimes give it a couple little pats just because the flour accumulates on the top of the lid and it can be a bit messy. And then you just pull this right off. And there's like a little cup right here that catches some of the flour. I'm not exactly sure what that's for, but they say you can use that flour. So just dump that right in there. And you can see all that beautiful flour. So 3 cups of grains yielded me all this beautiful, freshly milled, fine milled flour. And we're gonna go make some bread. And this is the cookbook you're gonna wanna have. It was sold out for a long time, but I think it's back in stock now. It's by Sue Becker. She's the founder of Bread Bakers, and this is the Essential Home Ground Flour book. And the recipe that I use is the basic yeast bread recipe. This is what I eat every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and it's literally changed my health. More about that later. That's on page 128. And then I also, I go back to the sponge method. Also, I refer back to that, and that's on page 113. I'll explain what that is real quick. It just gives the bread a little bit better texture and a little bit better flavor if you do the sponge method. So I'm about to show you what that's about. So anyway, so the basic yeast bread is what we're getting ready to do. We've already got our flour. So you're gonna start out by adding about half of your flour. That's what we're doing right now. We're doing the sponge. So I'm gonna use about 2.5 cups of my freshly milled flour. Okay, and then a tablespoon of yeast. Now I've used both active dry yeast and I've used instant yeast, and they both work great. So I'm gonna use a tablespoon of the yeast and sprinkle that in. And then you want 1.5 cups of filtered water, and you want it to 130 degrees. I use one of these little thermometers, so you'll want to get one of those. 1 minute in the microwave is what works for mine, but you'll have to play with yours and figure it out. So that goes in. And you want to use your dough hook for all your mixing, even when you're just incorporating your wet and dry ingredients, and that keeps you from over mixing. So just get your mixer going, and we're just gonna get that incorporated. Wait until all the flour and water are mixed together and get that good and hydrated. And we're gonna let that sit for at least 10 minutes. You can do it for an hour or two, but I usually just let my sponge go for about 10 minutes. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is what our sponge looks like. We've just basically mixed up our first three ingredients, our water, our flour, and our yeast. And now we have a sponge. And so that's just gonna get the flour good and hydrated. And we're just looking for it to bubble a little bit. Again, I have found that 10 minutes is perfectly fine. And my favorite place to put my dough is in my oven with the light on, and I just crack it a bit. Set my timer for 10 minutes, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, 10 minutes is up. So we're gonna take a look at our sponge and make sure that we've got some bubbles. And we do indeed. Got lots of nice bubbles, and that was just 10 minutes. So we're gonna start making our bread. By the way, this little handy dandy thing right here, this is a shower cap. And this is thanks to my goddaughter, Emily. Best tip ever. You can get these on Amazon. I don't know, you get like 1,000 of them or something for just a few bucks. And it is just the best thing since sliced bread. So, okay, so we've got our sponge, which again, that's just the flour, the water, and the yeast. Now we're gonna put the rest of the ingredients into our sponge. And I'm gonna use all of these except one. I'm gonna use the honey, the salt, the egg, the lecithin, but I am not gonna use the vital wheat gluten. That says that it's optional. Sue Becker says she does not find that that's necessary, and so I've never used that. So we're gonna start off with our oil. It's easiest to do your oil first, because then when you put your honey in this, it'll come out much easier. So it's a 1/3 cup of olive oil, and just get yourself a good quality olive oil. I use what I get at Costco. And then again, your honey needs to be raw, unfiltered honey. It doesn't need to be the best of the best local honey. I do buy that, but for when I'm baking with something, I don't think it's necessary to use the best of the best. I think that the Costco honey is just fine as long as it's raw, unfiltered. So because you've already put your oil in here, this honey is just gonna slide right out. So that's your olive oil and your honey. And then 2 teaspoons of salt. You want good salt, like either a Himalayan pink sea salt or just a good quality salt. And then 1 egg, 1 whole egg. And then you want a tablespoon of sunflower lecithin. This is the brand I have. I've also purchased it from the Breadmaker's website. They have a good one, but you can find it online with Amazon as well. So 1 tablespoon of sunflower lecithin, and I can link all of these products for you too. And that's it. So now we're gonna put our dough attachment back on. Our hook, and get it going. First things first is to just get those ingredients incorporated, and then we're gonna knead it. Okay, so you can see our wet and dry ingredients are incorporated. So now I'm gonna start adding the rest of my flour, 1/2 cup at a time. Slowly get that incorporated. You can also use a bread machine. You know, I don't have a bread machine, but apparently they do all the kneading and the baking for you, pretty easy peasy. All you would need then is just your grain mill. But I think if I had a big family, lots of kids, and I needed to make 6 loaves or something like that, I might get myself a bread machine. But I'm finding right now that my grain mill and my KitchenAid mixer and a couple loaf pans is working just fine. Let that get all incorporated. Okay, so everything's incorporated. So now we're just gonna knead the bread. Recipe says for 5 to 6 minutes. I find that it's been taking me 6 minutes to get it how I want it. So we're just looking for all that kneading to get done, and we want a nice, soft, elastic dough. All right, we'll just keep that going for 5 to 6 minutes. You can see how the dough is pulling away from the side of the bowl. Okay, another favorite little tool is one of these little scrapers. And you can easily scrape the sides of your bowl and get this into a nice little compact ball. We're going to cover it up with our little shower cap. And we're going to put it back into our oven. Obviously unheated oven under the light, and let it rise for exactly 1 hour. It will be more than double the size probably. So just keep it cracked, put the light on, and see you in 1 hour. Okay, so my dough has more than doubled in size. Look at that beauty. And I have prepared my loaf pans. I've greased them, and I also like to grease my board a little bit just to make it easier. And I'm just going to use my dough scraper to get my dough out of the bowl. I love this handy guy for cutting it in half. This is going to make 2 loaves of bread. So we're just going to cut this in half evenly. And this is how I form my loaves. I just sort of fold it in half that way and then roll it up this way. And then you've got yourself a nice, beautiful loaf. I'm going to put that into my prepared loaf pan. This is what I use. Use whatever you've got. And again, here's my dough. Can you see that? Fold it this way, and then roll it up this way. Get it sealed on the bottom, sort of give it a little pinch. And there's your beautiful loaf. Okay, we're going to use our shower cap again. Cover them up. And these are going to rise just for 30 minutes in the same spot I had it before. 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to bake it. Okay, so 30 minutes. Look at these beauties. They've at least doubled in size, and they are ready to bake. We're going to put them in a 350-degree oven. It's already preheated, and they're going to go in my oven. Takes 25 minutes. Recipe says 25 to 30 minutes. My oven definitely does it in 25 minutes. We're at a high altitude here, so it cooks a little faster. So anyway, that's it. We'll see you in 25 minutes. Okay, my timer went off, 25 minutes, and it's perfect. Look at this beauty. And it's literally the best tasting thing you've ever had, I promise. Did you see how easy that was? It took us about 2 hours, but the actual work time was maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, it's so good. You're gonna let them cool for a little bit. I know you're gonna be really tempted to slice into this because your whole house is gonna smell delicious, but you do need to let it cool for a little bit. I usually just let it cool in the pan for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna flip it and put it on a wire rack. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so they've cooled for about 5 minutes. Now I'm just gonna flip them out onto a wire rack. And Sue recommends that you cool them on their side. So, just so that they don't deflate. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have them cooling on their side. And when they're all the way cooled down, if you can resist the temptation, then we'll cut it up and have some bread.